first thing we did is we consolidated the pick list and lookup items into a single Excel file to make things much easier for our users to manage. Okay. The next thing we did is we added the ability to define multiple item types per feature. In the past, you could only do one item type per feature. That's just not how the civil world operates. We needed multiple item types per feature. So we've added that enhancement in this release. The other thing we did, which is huge, in the past, for example, if you went and you added an item type to the 2D element, you wanted it on the 3D, you would have had to go add it to the 3D. They didn't recognize one another. If you had modified the 3D, say the property of the 3D, you'd have to go modify the property of the 2D. We've changed all that so that item types can now be modified in any view, the 2D view, the 3D view, the profile view, and those changes are automatically going to reflect in other views. We've also done a lot of cleanup. There were a lot of ways in previous releases that, for example, if you did a partial delete on an element, you would destroy the item type. If you did created an interval on an element, you would destroy the item type. If you complexed an element, you could destroy the item type. That's all been taken care of. Those things, the item types now stay on those even in those types of operations. And then, of course, we added the ability, along with defining multiple item types per feature definition, we added the ability to define default values for those if you want to. Now, you don't have to, but you can. So let me give you a quick example of some of those. So I've just got a blank file here. So the first thing I want to look at is this consolidated pick list here. So we, as we've said, we consolidated everything into an Excel file instead of a DGN library. And so you can see here, I've got the pay item number, I've got the description, the unit, the measurement, and then we've actually given it another filter term. You can see on the far right for doing pick list. So we can make pick listing much easier through the use of these filters. So I'm going to come in here and just show you what we've done here. So here is a feature we've added. As I said, we've enhanced the ability to accept multiple pay item types. And so you can see here that I've got a backup curb feature, and we've got multiple different pay items assigned, or I'm sorry, multiple different item types assigned to this. You can default the values to something if you want to, or you can leave it non-defaulted and make the user select that if you will. So let me just show you how this works. And as I said, we resolve the single source of truth. And as I always say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So let's take a look at this. So I'm just going to go out, and using this curve back feature, I'm going to place a line, right? So when I place that line, it knows what it is. So I'm actually going to place two of them. And on the first one, you can see there are the item types that came right in on that line from the feature definition. And I'm going to go ahead and set my curb type to a concrete curb type 1. Okay. So I'm just going to set that. Now on the second element, I'm not going to set that. I'm just going to leave it for now. Okay. So the first element has an item type. The second does not. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to create a fillet between these two, which trims them. Okay. Now in the past, that was a problem. When you trim that element and created that interval, you would have lost the item type. That doesn't happen anymore. If you go back, you can see the item type is still there. It's still set as concrete curb type 1. So that doesn't get destroyed anymore, which was a problem. Now let's go a little further. Let's complex it. Let's take the two tangents and the fillet, and let's create a complex piece of geometry. Now, again, in the past, that would have destroyed the item type, but it doesn't do that anymore. Now it gets inherited. Now there are ways that you can, some configuration variables and things that you can set to handle conflicts and stuff like that as well. Now I'm going to go in and add a profile here, and I want to show you what we mean by single source of truth. So I'm going to add a profile, and I'm going to make it active. So now you've really got the same element. You've just got it displayed in 3 different views, 2D, 3D, but the pay item type goes across all 3 views. So notice I'm in the profile view, and I'm going to change the element type to stone curb. Now if I go back to 2D, it says the element type is stone curb. So you change it in one view. So here, let's change it back to concrete gutter type 1. You can see it's concrete gutter type 1. So you can change it in any view, and the other views and the other elements will inherit those changes automatically. So that's called single source of truth, and that is a just a huge step forward for us in the area of item types. Now, again, I just showed some basic geometry, but keep in mind that anytime you use features and elements are created out of those features or with those features, you have the ability to do item types. So for example, here I'm just going to place a corridor along a simple alignment. We'll just go from beginning to end. We'll just do something simple like an undivided 2 lanes. That is obviously going to create a 3D model with some meshes. Those meshes have features, and because they have features, now they have the ability to have item types. So you can see I've already defaulted those. You know, the pavement is a wearing course. All that can be filled out automatically if you want to, with a default value. If you decide, you know, you get a pavement design change and you want to come back in and change that, then you can change that from the drop down pick list and you're good to go. That's true for meshes. It's also true, you know, whether it's pavement or sidewalks or shoulders, or if you even go in and select one of the 3D lines. So for example, here's a 3D back of curb line, and you can see the pay items come through. I'm sorry, the item types come through for it as well.